Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. This is Clouds on Mars Products. In this series, we discuss various challenges that we have faced in cooperation with our customers, challenges in a positive way. So, certain engineering tasks that we have received from our customers in order to find a good solution for them. Today, we will discuss migration from Power BI Pro, Power BI Premium capacity to Microsoft Fabric. We will find out why it is needed to migrate and what other benefits are awaiting for those who will decide to migrate. My name is Marcin Kubica. I'm head of product and Clouds on Mars, and today I'm joined by Alesia Abrazova. Alesia is a BI consultant at Clouds on Mars. She is with us for more than 5 years now, and within last 12 to 15 months, she did participate in 3 migration projects. Of course, among other projects that she does during her work. The recent project that she's working on is a governance project using Microsoft Purview. Alesia, it's so good to have you here today.
Thank you. Good evening, good morning. I'm very happy to enjoy and discuss today's topic.
All right. So there are hundreds or thousands of organizations that they are very happy with their Power BI reports. Those reports have been created by their citizen developers, or they have been created by external consultants like consultants from Clouds on Mars. But recently, there is more and more discussions whether they should migrate their Power BI capacities or Power BI licenses to Microsoft Fabric. Why these organizations should really start talking or start considering migration to Fabric? Alesia, can you share your experience in this regard, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So the first things, and I think one was important, it's not about the trend or like it's some kind of new toy which one we want to use or check how it works. It's more about that the change it's coming and we just need to go with these changes and start implement it. So if we start question like if we want to go to this fabric, it's more clearly to ask when we should do this. So how do you know it's time for the company, for your organization just to move to this fabric? I think for this, we can provide to you like 3 options, 3 points to help you to understand that it's right now time for this. So first, it's about the licensings. Licensings is money. So right now we know that old premium licensing, it's not stopped working. I mean, from the mid of the 2024. And if you're not a big company, which one have renewal licensing for many years with the Microsoft, it will be stamped like ending this licensing and you just need to switch. And switching, it will be like a fabric capacity. So unfortunately, it's bad news, but you don't have a choice. Your innovation will stop. Second point, if we talk also about their fabric capacity and about fabric licensing, it's for sure about their paying by users. Because if you have a lot of users, which one will be user reports, just viewing, checking for informations, you need to pay more and more. So in this case, if you have more users, you also need to use the fabric capacity to have a more possibility not pay more and also have like a more advantages of the fabric.
So, Alesia, if I can stop here for a moment. The first reason is that Microsoft is changing their product, so there will be a need to migrate to Fabric. But the second point is interesting because what you are saying is that if organization has a bunch of users that use Power BI, and let's say that they use Power BI Pro license, so they really need to pay for each user. Well, with Pro, for sure, every Pro user has to pay for its license. The premium user, if there is a premium per user, they need to pay for each user. So if the number of users grows, then they pay more and more for those licenses. But then switching to Fabric, quite similar to premium capacity in Power BI, right? So when they switch to Fabric capacity, they no longer pay per user, they really pay per usage. So how much they use a capacity, the invoice depends on the usage instead of simply licenses attached to the users.
Yes, exactly. You're you're correct. And of course, also it depends on the capacity of the fabric, but start from the capacity 64, you will have like possibility to like share your reports, dashboard, and you don't need to pay per users. So yes.
So for large organizations, the organizations that are having a lot of users, perhaps a lot of reports, it definitely makes sense to consider capacity, like fabric
Exactly.
capacity.
Exactly.
How about the third reason?
If it's organization have Synapse or Azure Data Factory, because it's like all tools, and unfortunately also some of the possibility and features is already blocked, and in the next I think months it start be less support these tools, so it's time to switch to the Fabric.
So another reason why organizations needs to consider migration to Fabric because of changes in Microsoft technology. So modern technology like Fabric is pushing the Synapse out of the table.
Yes, because Fabric it's like the tools when you have everything in one place. So you don't need different platform for the data engineer, Power BI developers. You have everything in one place. So unfortunately, yes, it's the last reason, but maybe also for the most of the people it will be very useful and more easy to support even automation or like some kind of clarification for the solution.
So out of those three reasons, two seems to be kind of negative. Companies may think we've been forced by Microsoft to do this migration, but this middle reason, the capacity reason, is actually the positive side, the first positive side, because we want to discuss other positive aspects as well later in this recording, right? So there is a way to optimize the cost by migrating to Fabric. So let's imagine that we have a company that is really interested in migrating to Fabric, but they say, well, we are quite happy with Power BI reports, or we would like to make simply lift and shift from Power BI capacity or Power BI workspaces to Fabric. When it comes to lift and shift type of migration, what is your experience, Alessia?
My experience is it's not a good choice. I mean, it's always something when you start working with a Power BI service and you start create a lot of dashboards. Very often we have a lot of reports which one you never use or maybe using only 2 or 3 people. So you have a lot of even mess in one place. If you will move everything from the Power BI service to the Fabric, it's not good because all this mess or this even like some kind of let's say trash or some reports which one you don't use it will move with you. And like we start talk about this on the first questions that right now for the Fabric capacity it's more relative not the per user but usage. So if you will move everything with not optimization, of course you will use more usages for the Fabric capacity, so it will be reflective on your cost. And of course, like the people when they, for example, one of the report is a very big model, you have a lot of people move to the Fabric capacity, not checking how to set up more individual for this report, you can have a problem, then in one day the reports will be slowly because a lot of people using the one report in one moment. So for sure, it's not a good way. We can't move everything in one steps. We need to prepare like really good plan or like some map to understand how we do it in properly way, because we need to analyze first, understand the specific case for this organization, and after just move it step by step, slowly, not rushing, and really after some time, after the full migration, organization will see the benefits of this.
Okay, so it seems that such migration projects from Power BI to Fabric capacity is a great occasion to make an inventory of the reports and see how users use those reports. But you've mentioned one more element that is really not relevant if someone consumes the report through the Power BI Pro license is how optimal those reports are. right? Since we are switching to charging per usage, we really want to make sure that those reports are created in an optimal way, especially those reports that they do heavy lifting every day because of number of users and maybe the complicated calculations. They should be reviewed, and we should look for optimizations in those reports.
Yeah, exactly. It's always a problem that these reports, which organization use most of the time, it's always like skip to optimize a little bit later because right now it's not time for this. So maybe for organizations which decide to move to the Fabric, switch to the Fabric capacity, it will be good point to just little bit clean up and look on their report, optimizes, and find a better solution for them. So yeah.
Good. So, Alessia, let's continue our discussion on positive aspects of migrating to Fabric. We've promised that the switching from per user to per usage is not the only positive reason of switching to Fabric. Are there any additional benefits that organizations may have when they start using Fabric?
Yes, for sure, because Fabric have a lot of features, like I told before, that you have one platform which one already include the tools for data engineer, for data sciences, for Power BI developer. And I think one of the good point here is that you don't need to use everything in one moment. If your company just start working the Fabric and you just want right now just switch to the Power BI report, it's okay, it's fine. We can do the switching and migration to just a Power BI report. But after, when you see you have a space and you want to try to use these new tools, you can on all the settings about their notebooks, Lakehouse, or some AI tools, like in features in the Fabric capacity, and just start working and testing with this. So it's a good that you don't need to set up and use everything in one moment. Everything what you have on the settings, you can just on or off for full organization, and you will have like a different features which one you can use right now in this moment. So I think it's really good, especially for the organization which one just start working with AI or just think about it, do these small steps, because here you have everything in one platform and you can easily check it. You can easily work with this because it's more easy and more like friendly, front-end friendly for the users which one not data engineer or data sciences.
When I think about the various customers we are in touch with, thanks to Fabric, we have a lot of opportunities, right? There are some customers we discuss SAP Fabric integration. It is possible, and Fabric offers a lot of options to integrate Fabric with SAP. And companies, they look for things that go beyond simple report. They want to see predictions, they want to do forecasting, they want to run models to maybe predict whether there will be a customer churn, right? Or they want to forecast their sales, they want to have smart inventory. All this requires more advanced feature than simply reporting, right? So we want to run machine learning models, the tools that are available on Fabric and actually can be turned on and configured and built to enhance the analytics capability of organizations. And last but not least, you mentioned AI features. There are Copilot features that are native elements of Fabric. Of course, you have Azure Foundry that can be also used and connected to Fabric if you want to have more advanced or more sophisticated AI solutions that we can build on top of data layer that needs to be part of Fabric when building reports. Any thoughts, Alessia, on long-term benefits coming from migration to Fabric?
For sure. First, I think in one of the biggest advantages of the have a Fabric capacity, it just right now will be cost less because you have not three different tools, like separate tools, which one you use for different stage of preparing the data and analyzing the data, but you have everything in one platform, like I mentioned before. So you have all their features, all their tools for the data engineering, for data sciences, for Power BI analytics. The second reason, I think what here will help us, that you can switch in different time usage capacity. So for example, your organization work only in the Europe, and you know that at the night anyone will not check the report. You can just turn off and you will not use this usage. So it's for sure like a benefit because you will pay less on the end of this month. So you have really possibility to have like a play and check where's the time you need to like grow up your capacity, because in this time you know that it will be refreshing the first week of their month or the every second day of their like week or something like this, because different organization have a different modification. Some of the report need to refresh more often. So here, like with the Fabric, you have this possibility to really customize, depends on your solution and depends on your needs. So I think it's really good advantages and to help the company save more money.
So my take on what you've just said is that migration to Fabric is a gate that opens the road to various changes in the organization, right? So the one set of changes is connected with the growth of a given organization, right? So Fabric gives this flexibility of organizing capacity in a way that matches the size of organization or the usage of data and analytics in an organization, because some organization they still don't use their full potential in terms of data analytics, business intelligence, and Fabric gives this option to scale up if needed. And second, it's also a gate that let the organization enters the road toward more advanced data analytics and AI solutions, right? So maybe at this point they use very basic element like Power BI reporting, but very soon, seeing how the market is changing, they may decide, well, we need to have something more than simply Power BI reports. For example, they may want to say, oh, we need to build or we need to vibe code web apps that need to be hosted somewhere, and we would like to connect them to Fabric data. It is possible on Fabric with Fabric apps, for example. So this opens like the tons of possibilities for organizations.
And it's resolve like a lot of questions if you will want to improve your some of the solution. Again, watching the tools, which one we need to use and what it will be like fit on the organization. Here you have everything in one place, so you don't have these challenges or questions. So it's for your future, really easy to testing new solution. And another one, I think I not mentioned before yet, that if you have the Fabric and you have all the data on Lakehouse after we'll connect to the Power BI report, you almost have like near live data, because data will be really more refreshing than before if you have a Databricks or like a Synapse right now. So it's really good opportunity that you have like more closer to near live data. So I think it's for some organization, it will be also benefits, especially for some sales or some reports, which one really need to have as soon as possible new data to have the comparison for different approach.
Well, what you've mentioned is the real-time analytics, another nice feature of Fabric, right? And more companies realize that, well, waiting 24 hours for the refresh is really not matching their operating model. They need to see this data nearly immediately after this piece of data is created. Heading toward the conclusion of our conversation, I would like to talk with you, Alessia, about the model or typical way we work with our customers. So let's say that there is someone who is listening now to this episode, and let's say that this person is part of an organization that has 200 reports, and those 200 reports are given to the users using Power BI Pro license. So how would you approach a migration project for an organization like this one? What are the typical steps that you put in place while creating the plan for migration projects?
As for your question, I will just share like our strategy, which one we prepare based on our experience with the project. especially when we have a project with migration from the SAP to the Fabric. And it's like, on the live when we check how it works. And right now we know that this strategy works perfectly. So start, we have a 4-stage, and the first stage is one of the most important because we need just do this audit and do this inventory of all the estate which one we have in this project. Because organization can have a different data platform like Synapse, ADF, or like Databricks. So we need to understand what all the pieces, all the pipelines, all the data platform, everything what we have here. So we do this audit, map the dependencies, understand what is the start first, because sometimes it's can be very easy and more like a clearly way how to proceed this information, how to proceed all this data and transform this data. But sometimes these dependencies, it's more complex. So we need to map it. And after, when we have all this audit, we of course have the very big, most of all, it's very long meeting with a business case. First of all, we describe some kind of dependencies. And after, business need to decide what is a priority for them. Because like we told before, not of the reports, it's the first priority. Some of them can be moved after, or sometimes even for one user case, it's better just start from some kind of a middle report, not the big one, which one have really complex transformations, because it will take a lot of time just to see this POC or just checking how to migrate it. So after this audit, it's really important from the organization perspective, decide which case we will choose. And after this, we can just jump to the next stage. And this stage, it's more working from our perspective, Clouds on Mars, because after we have the priorities from the business, after we have the audit, we can start creating a target design and understand what SKU sizing we need, if we will use one lake, or how many workspace we will have, or it will be just dev and prod, or we most of all, of course, we use dev, test, and prod, but it depends on the organization and the case.
Just to clarify a couple of terms, when we say SKU, we mean different sizes or different tiers of fabric capacity, right?
Yes, exactly.
And when we talk about dev and prod, or dev, test, and prod, we talk about 2 or 3 environments that are part of continuous integration, continuous development processes that are actually a professional way of developing the end-to-end reporting for Fabric, because it's not only the visual part of the reports or Power BI reports. We talk about all the elements that are required to really be able to show the high quality, reliable data at the end.
Yes, exactly, because for this we need to have the full process to be sure that on production everything would have access to the just users during our migration, after development. It will be not break anything. So we need to separate this workspace to be sure that developers working in the separate environment, and only after we will know that this solution is work perfectly, we can move it on production. So yeah, thank you, because it's good fun to describe for the users. Third stage, it will be about wave migrations. So like I mentioned before, that case and priorities, we choose one case, which one we want to move, and check how it will be works. What is going well, or maybe we need to change our strategy or change our sequences. So of course we do this this wave migrations, do this first pilot, just check all the validation if it works. And after this, we can already know which strategy will be work for this organization, for this project, the better way. And after we have the last phase, it's optimize and operate, and it will be relevant about the advantages we discussed before. That Fabric give you a possibility to do this customized usage, because like we discussed, the different report have different needs. So here we have the time for playing. It's not like that when we migrate it is a like final solution. No, because during the times we can check that maybe we even can decrease this capacity or reduce. So it will be depend on their live interaction with this data. So this, I think, this last stage, it's more like kind of art and working with a more creative way, how we can do this like adoption, do this optimizing, monitoring. So it's more long time stage, which one will be not finalized after our migration.
So actually in the stage 4, we measure how users use the reports, and we look for ways to increase adoption and increase the usability based on the user's feedback. But Alessia, coming back to this part that we mentioned as a way to migrate opposite to simple lift and shift, you mentioned optimizing the semantic model and data processing. In which stage do we keep this element, this optimization of semantic model?
It's better do like between, let's say, second and third, because when we do this like new architecture target design and we proceed how will data will be like sequencing going to this report, it's better already think maybe some of the data, maybe some of the transformation, which one we before have on the report, it's better to move in sequence before this Power BI semantic model. So let's say more like depends on the what we can move to another stage. It will be in second stage, but already implementation of this, it will be in the third stage, like wave.
Alessia, thank you very much. You've helped us look at the migration projects from various angles. And we know that different organizations, they may have various priorities. So different elements may be important to them. They can pick whatever is needed for them, or they may decide to go with all the features and really improve their data analytics, business intelligence capabilities, using the migration project as a good occasion to do so. Thank you very much once again. Dear audience, if you are interested in Power BI to Fabric migration project, or maybe you have another challenge related with data analytics, business intelligence, AI that you would like to share with us, maybe you have a problem that you would like to shoot toward us and ask us for a solution, we will be happy to take this opportunity and discuss with you. There are no obligations. These discussions are free of charge. We will be very happy to open this discussion with you. Regardless you do a project with us or not, we will be happy to discuss and help you at this initial stage. And last but not least, please keep in mind, let your data make an impact. Alessia, thank you very much for being with us today, and see you next time.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let's meet another time for another discussion.